with the planning department for the city of Huntsville, also one of your neighbors. I live over on Shelby. Also a past board member. I was shanghaied by those who remember Emily Elam. She got me involved before I knew actually what I was getting into, but it was great. It's great being a part of the board. It's great being a part of this community. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm going to talk about all the kind of interesting stuff that you might, I'm sorry, someone's supposed to yell microphone at me. That you might not have heard. So this may be news. Huntsville's growing. People are coming, right? It's a shock, I know. A lot of the focus is frequently on adding new housing, improving roads, things like that, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on to make sure that we're accommodating that. So a few things I just want to touch on, and if you have more questions, please come and grab me afterwards. I will stay here because I can just walk home when I'm done. First is Mill Creek CNI. When we talk about housing, it's not just about adding housing in mass, it's also about making sure we preserve affordability. A great partner is Huntsville Housing Authority. They have a project just to the west of downtown called Butler Green. We received a federal grant from HUD in the order of $50 million to redevelop that site. This is the existing site just west of downtown. You end up remaking the entire site. It includes both public housing and affordable workforce housing, as well as market rate housing, and Huntsville Hospital is building their own apartment building for some of their workers as part of that development. It's also not just about the housing itself, but making sure it looks like the program is called Choice Neighborhoods. They want it to look like a neighborhood of choice, a place where you would choose to live. So the idea is that you have to have quality, the design has to be quality, architecture has to be quality, it has to include public spaces like parks. For those who are familiar with this site, if you drive past it, you will see this enormous, it's probably kind to call it a ditch, it's this enormous concrete culvert that cuts right through the middle of the neighborhood. Part of this project includes capping that and creating a linear park over the top of that site to add a new park to the development. Parks and recreation have been a huge focus in terms of our growth. As we're growing, we want to make sure we're not stressing our parks. We want to add a lot of green space. Another great example is the new park in, where the old city hall was, my old office, is no longer there. If you haven't been downtown recently, right now it's a big dirt pad. Back when we did the downtown master plan, the discussion had been, oh, we'll put an office building back there, or a hotel. I wish I had thought of this, but I have to give credit to the mayor who said, look, it's public land, it's adjacent to the park, why don't we just turn it back into Big Spring Park? And it was a great idea. So we have this new plan for where the old city hall used to be. It's a mixture of kind of preserved, just open grass slopes, as well as some ramps to help you get up and down between the street that are ADA compliant, some sculpture gardens. This is a new publicly available pavilion that'll be at the top of the hill, so you can have weddings or family reunions or whatever you want in the park, as well as a little bit of public art in there. This is the view from up on Fountain Circle. It's actually going to be, we've got a lot of folks from our landscape management folks who are into sustainability, and this is going to have a rain garden kind of integrated with the architecture. And then this would be a view from Church Street. That's the new city hall up on the hill, and that new pavilion, but you've got kind of that open grass slope, and then you've got kind of a nice little plaza up on the side.
Is that a waterfall?
It is not a waterfall. We've got a little water feature, but no. Waterfalls take a lot to maintain, and if our public works guys were here, they'd said no waterfalls. They break down a lot. Yeah, so we've got a stage where you can do small music events. This is kind of that plaza, so it's a good mix of a little bit of hardscape that you can hang out in and softscape. So it's a nice balance of the materials in it. The other thing we're looking at, and many of you may have heard of this, is sort of the next use of the Huntsville Depot. Early Works has turned the depot grounds, that includes the historic depot, the roundhouse, and the 7+ acres around it, over to the city. So we're looking for help in terms of how we reprogram that. To give you a little bit of orientation, it's a pretty big site. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of opportunity there, and we are in kind of the early stages of hearing what would folks like to see there. A lot of folks have said, hey, bring back the rail museum. Other folks have said, it'd be nice to actually integrate some, like a coffee shop or something like that. Other folks have said, we just want safe, comfortable, open space in the entire area, add to the green space downtown. So we're working our way through that process. If you go onto the city's website and you type in Huntsville Depot or Historic Depot, it will bring you to this page. This page has all the latest info, both in terms of community surveys, when we're having the next public meetings. We haven't drawn any plans for this yet. We're still very much in the listing phase, but that's what's moving forward as well. I think I've only got two projects left to talk about. One is we call it the PARC, the PARC, Pedestrian Access and Revitalization Corridor, which, as I told folks earlier, is what happens when you let engineers make acronyms, because it's a little confusing. Are you talking about the park or the park? Everyone else knows it as the Sky Bridge, right? So the Sky Bridge is a bike and pedestrian link between Low Mill and downtown, but it is also improvements to the creeks behind the VBC and the new Coke site. If you recognize this iconic power station behind us, this does a great job holding and moving stormwater. Doesn't do a whole lot else. We are looking at rebuilding that area so it actually holds more stormwater, but it also becomes a linear park. If you've ever been to, say, San Antonio and seen the Riverwalk, something along those lines. So we're asking it not only to keep holding stormwater, but also be a place that is an amenity for the community. Greenways have been a recurrent theme, so the last big thing I'm going to talk about is the North Huntsville Greenway. That'll actually pick up where the Sky Bridge project ends at Holmes Avenue and take you all the way to Alabama A&M. So that's kind of Sparkman right there, and it's going to work its way both through sort of floodway areas and abandoned railroad tracks, all the way down to downtown, adjacent to the VBC. We are wrapping up the master planning for that right now, and hopefully next year we actually start doing construction documents for the first phase, probably starting north up by Sparkman,